Thank you. I'm not trying to denigrate your experience as a law clerk. I think it's a great experience, and I would highly encourage those graduating from law school to pursue clerkships. But having tried cases as an assistant U.S. attorney, it's not the same thing. To observe them and to do them yourself, I'm sure you would agree. But thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a few questions. Ms. Westerkamp, are you familiar with the term Performance Improvement Plan, sometimes referred to as a PIP?
Yes.
Would you agree that employees subject to a PIP are essentially being notified that some aspect of their performance is unacceptable?
Yes.
Have you ever been subject to a performance improvement plan in your time at the Department of Justice?
No, sir. Senator, I have received excellent ratings.
So there's never been any issue your superiors or supervisors have had that required anything like a performance improvement plan?
No, Senator.
Thank you. Lane, I wanted to ask you about your experience trying cases. Have you ever tried a case to a verdict before a jury?
Senator, I've worked on a bench trial, and as a federal law clerk, I handled 7 trials.
I was a federal law clerk as well. I wouldn't say that I handled the trials. I think the judge handled the trials. But let me ask you about your experience with the bench trial. Were you the lead counsel in that case?
No, Senator, I was part of a small team of attorneys.
Were you the senior or associate counsel on the case?
Yes, Senator, I was an associate on the case. There were 4 attorneys on the case. I was responsible for helping prepare witnesses, helping second chair depositions. I also took a deposition myself. I cross-examined a witness at trial, and I was responsible for all the pretrial and post-trial briefing, findings of facts, conclusions of law.
And of the 4 attorneys, how many were more senior to you on that team?
Senator, I believe 2. There were several people who came in to assist, but again, my responsibilities, I was the primary drafter for all the briefing.
No, I heard that. I just want to understand. So your trial experience consists of being the second or third senior lawyer on a bench trial?
Senator, yes, it was a week-long trial involving complicated constitutional issues, and my role, again, was I helped draft and prepare all the briefing.
But you've never done jury selection, never done voir dire, for example?
When I was a law clerk, Senator, 5 of the trials before the judge who I clerked for were jury trials, and so I had the opportunity.
And I was a law clerk. It was a great experience, but I didn't pick the jury when I was a law clerk. I didn't question the jurors. I didn't seek to use a peremptory or other challenge for cause for a juror. That's really not the role of a law clerk. You observe it, but you don't do it yourself. And so have you, apart from the bench trial, have you cross-examined witnesses in any kind of other jury trial or any jury trial?
Senator, in that case, I cross-examined a lay witness. I also deposed an expert, and I was...
Never before a jury. Have you ever filed or argued a motion to eliminate?
Yes, Senator, I've, in that matter, handled several motions in limine as well as in other matters, particularly at preliminary injunction stage. Some of the litigation I've been involved with has had extensive evidentiary records at the preliminary injunction stage. So I've filed and handled several motions, many motions in limine, Senator.
Many motions in limine in that one bench trial?
Yes, Senator. In that one bench trial, I handled several motions in limine, but I've also handled motions in limine in other litigation, again, more at the preliminary injunction stage, seeking to clear the establish a clear record going into a preliminary injunction hearing where there may be live witnesses, evidentiary issues, kind of at that initial stage.
Okay, thank you. I'm not trying to denigrate your experience as a law clerk. I think it's a great experience, and I would highly encourage those graduating from law school to pursue clerkships. But having tried cases as an assistant U.S. attorney, it's not the same thing. To observe them and to do them yourself, I'm sure you would agree. But thank you, I appreciate it, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I just watched a clip from a Senate hearing, and honestly, it says a lot about where things stand right now in Washington. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome to Straight Talk Politics, the place where we cut through the spin and talk about what's really happening in our government and our country. If you believe in common sense, accountability, and putting America first, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a comment below telling me what you think after watching this clip. Your voice matters, and this channel is about having real conversations. So let's talk about what we just watched. A senator begins asking some pretty straightforward questions. Nothing outrageous. Nothing unfair. Just basic questions about experience, accountability, and qualifications. And right away the conversation starts with something that anyone who has worked in the real world understands, a performance improvement plan, or what most people call a PIP. Now, if you've ever worked a real job in America, you know what that means. When your boss puts you on a PIP, it's not a gold star. It's a warning sign. It's the company telling you something about your performance needs to improve. The senator asks directly, have you ever been placed on a performance improvement plan at the Department of Justice? The answer was no. She says she's received excellent ratings. All right, fair enough. That's good to hear. But then the senator starts digging into something that really matters when you're talking about someone operating at the highest levels of federal law enforcement, actual courtroom experience. And this is where things start getting interesting. He asks a very simple question. Have you ever tried a case to a verdict before a jury? Now think about that for a second. If you're going to be involved in high-level decisions inside the Department of Justice, especially decisions that affect prosecutions, constitutional issues, or major federal cases, you would think real courtroom experience would be a basic expectation. But instead of a clear yes, what we hear is a long explanation about working on a bench trial and being part of a team. Not leading the case. Not running the courtroom. Not selecting the jury. Not arguing the case before 12 citizens. Just assisting. Helping prepare witnesses. Drafting briefs. Second sharing depositions. And listen, none of that is bad experience. Every lawyer starts somewhere. Clerking for a judge is a respected path. Assisting on cases is part of learning the profession. But here's the key point the senator makes. Observing trials is not the same thing as trying them. Anyone who's worked in any field knows the difference between watching and doing. You can watch a mechanic fix a car 100 times. That doesn't mean you can rebuild an engine yourself. You can watch a pilot fly a plane. That doesn't mean you should be sitting in the cockpit. The senator calmly points out something important. He says he's not trying to denigrate her experience as a law clerk. In fact, he encourages law students to pursue clerkships. But he also states the obvious truth. Watching trials is not the same as conducting them. And he's absolutely right. In our justice system, jury trials are the backbone of accountability. It's where prosecutors and defense attorneys test their arguments before ordinary Americans. It's where evidence gets challenged. It's where witnesses are cross-examined. It's where justice is supposed to happen in the open. Yet what we heard in this exchange suggests that the person being questioned has never actually stood in front of a jury and carried that responsibility herself. No jury selection. No voir dire. No arguing a case before citizens. No full trial responsibility. Instead, what we hear is a lot of involvement behind the scenes. And again, that's valuable experience. But when we're talking about leadership roles in the Department of Justice, Americans deserve to know whether the people making decisions have actually been in the arena themselves. Because here's the bigger issue. For years now, we've seen a growing divide between Washington bureaucrats and the real world. Too many decision-makers have spent their entire careers inside offices, inside agencies, inside academic circles, but not out there doing the frontline work that everyday professionals do. The justice system shouldn't be run by people who have only watched the game from the sidelines. It should be led by people who have been on the field, people who have stood in front of juries, people who have taken the pressure of a trial, people who understand what it means when someone's freedom, reputation, or future is on the line. That's not an attack. That's a standard. And honestly, the senator handled the questioning in a pretty respectful way. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't grandstand. He simply asked direct questions and let the answers speak for themselves. And sometimes that's all it takes. The American people are smart. When they hear the answers, they can draw their own conclusions. Now maybe some people watching this will say experience isn't everything. Maybe they'll argue that policy knowledge or academic expertise matters just as much. But here's my view as someone who believes in accountability and strong institutions. When it comes to the Department of Justice, the agency responsible for enforcing federal law and protecting the Constitution, real-world experience should matter a lot. Because decisions made there don't stay inside a conference room. They affect prosecutions. They affect constitutional rights. They affect the lives of ordinary Americans. And that's why hearings like this are important. They're not about embarrassing anyone. They're about transparency. They allow the public to see who is being put into positions of authority and whether those individuals truly have the experience necessary to carry out the responsibilities. That's not partisan. That's just responsible government. But I want to hear from you. After watching that exchange, what do you think? Should top officials in the Department of Justice have real jury trial experience? Do you think observing trials and assisting on cases is enough preparation for leadership roles in federal law enforcement? Drop your thoughts down in the comments because the conversation matters. And if you believe in honest political discussion without the media filter, make sure you subscribe to Straight Talk Politics, hit the like button, and share this video so more people can see what's actually happening inside these hearings. Thanks for watching, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one.